Venom's origin stories is one of the most famous in Marvel history. Eddie Brock and Peter Parker will be forever linked to one another, which means audiences think they know Venom. We ask you though, do you really know this alien symbiote? Because we found numerous secrets that are going to make you question everything you thought you knew.
We're poison to you, Spider-Man. That's why we call ourselves Venom.
Why not slide over to the subscribe button for the CBR channel? One click on the red button means videos delivered to your inbox daily, and they're free. How's that for service? Endless webbing. We all know Spidey can shoot webbing. However, depending on your version of Spider-Man, the nature of the webbing is different. For some versions of Spider-Man, the webbing comes from inside of Peter, and he makes it naturally. That's not true of all the versions of the superhero. Peter's webbing can be from a mechanical web shooter attached to his wrist. The webbing itself is a synthetic compound substance. Peter has to manually load the webbing, and during a fight, which has happened, he could run out. You may be saying to yourself, but Venom inherited the abilities of Spider-Man when he was wearing the symbiote suit. If Spider-Man doesn't actually make webbing, then how could Venom naturally make webbing? Venom can also shoot webbing, but his is not from mechanical shooter. Venom likes to keep it a secret, but his webbing is generated from his own body. This is true of all the versions of Venom. Unlike Spider-Man, he never has to worry about running out. Venom can produce endless webbing for its host, but he needs to be careful. Creating too much webbing can weaken the symbiote and result in his defeat. This happened in Amazing Spider-Man issue 300, and Venom has been trying to cover it up ever since. Ability to adapt. In order to survive, one has to be able to change with the times. Being able to adapt to a given situation isn't as easy as it sounds. That is, unless you are Venom and you have a secret superpower that allows you to do just that. The alien symbiote, as part of its bonding process, is always changing depending on its environment and host. The most famous example of this adaptation is when the symbiote broke off of Peter Parker and merged with Eddie Brock. The newly formed Venom retained some of the abilities of Peter while adapting to the differences of Brock. He gains and retains the biological and intellectual uniqueness of the host. It is an ability that Venom keeps on tight lockdown. Hypothetically, Venom could merge with every single superhero and villain in the Marvel Universe and adapt without any problems. Adaptation has the potential to be less of a superficial characteristic and more of an internal change depending on the adaptation. Spider-Man or Carnage wouldn't always be able to detect Venom's adaptations until perhaps after they've already occurred. Even then, they might not know what had just happened. Venom's ability would make the average superhero keep their distance from the alien, or they risk Venom adapting to them. Venom Reproduction. Oftentimes in comic books, enhanced beings get their abilities through some kind of incident. For Spider-Man, he was bit by a radioactive spider. Captain America took the super soldier serum. Venom wasn't granted any special powers due to accident or enhancement. As an alien symbiote, Venom was, in a way, born with its abilities. Superpowers are not handed down from generation to generation through reproduction. Sure, sometimes abilities are transferred through DNA, like with the Hulk and She-Hulk, but that's rare. Superheroes aren't reproducing in order to swell the ranks and make sure their superpowers don't disappear. Venom, on the other hand, has an ability that others in his ranks do not. Venom can asexually reproduce itself. When you think about it, that is a powerful advantage over his opponents. Spider-Man can't manifest web slingers into reality by picking off a piece of himself and have it replicate. Venom can. Venom can develop his own army through self-replication. In fact, the symbiote is the reason for the majority of symbiotic entities in the Marvel Universe. Carnage is a replication of Venom. There was also the time Venom's ability to reproduce was used by the Life Foundation. All those new symbiotes needed to go find hosts, and so an army was born. Immune to supernatural powers. When we talk about superpowers, we usually talk about the kinds exhibited by enhanced humans or extraterrestrial entities. We talk about Wolverine's healing factor and Ant-Man's shunting mass in order to shrink in size. It's important not to forget that there are other types of powers wielded by entities in the universe. We're talking about magic and the supernatural abilities like Doctor Strange. The Sorcerer Supreme taps into universal energies and extra-dimensional forces in order to attack his opponents, and often they're greatly weakened by these attacks. Very few characters in the Marvel Universe have an immunity against magic. It just so happens that Venom is one of those lucky few. Magic often comes in the form of spells, elemental attacks, and astral projections, and mind control through incantations. Ghost Rider, for example, wields magic through his penance stare. When the rider locks in eye contact with his opponent, it is supposed to incapacitate them or overwhelm them with the pain from their innocent victims. Well, Ghost Rider has stared into the eyes of Venom and nothing happened. Due to the alien symbiote, the host is completely immune to the stare and other magical elements. This is a great advantage for Venom because he does not have to think so much about protecting himself against magic. Upload himself to the internet. Venom has a wide variety of superpowers over a range of skills. Thanks to his adaptations, he can also survive in vastly different environments. As an alien symbiote, he is familiar with outer space and interstellar dimensions. He has used New York City as his own personal terror playground. There are very few places left for Venom to go, or so you thought. One of his most obscure abilities comes from the early years of Venom's stay in the Marvel Universe, when the internet was in its infancy and Venom still had new territories to explore. In 1995's Venom, Carnage Unleashed number 4, created by Larry Hama and Andrew Wildman, our supervillain hacked into the World Wide Web. We know you're picturing a massive black and white costume Eddie Brock sitting at an old Windows computer typing away. While comical, this is not Venom's superpower. Venom is secretly able to upload himself to the internet. While Carnage found a way to upload himself to the internet to attack people, Venom decided he needed to put a stop to it. There, the two alien symbiotes battled each other. This was during the dial-up days of the World Wide Web, so it probably took each of them a few times before they logged on. Shapeshifting. Venom is scary enough on his own. Nothing about his size, deranged grin, or costume say, hey, let's grab a drink together and be friends. One look at him and you want to hide under a table and hope he goes away. It even gets crazier once you learn that almost every incarnation of Venom includes the ability for him to shapeshift. That means Venom can turn into even scarier versions of himself. He can rearrange matter to change things like his clothing. He can make any type of clothing or accessory he needs. This is a valuable power that has gotten Venom out of several tight spots. This is why he keeps it a secret as much as possible. Imagine, Peter Parker has to change in and out of his costume. He has to carry around all his weapons with him wherever he goes. He constantly has to be on the lookout for secluded locations so he can transition in and out of his costume. Venom, on the other hand, can walk down the street and seamlessly transition into his black and white outfit. Conversely, Venom can shapeshift in order to create various constructs and weapons out of his body. This is the type of ability that Spider-Man wishes he had. Camouflage. Venom is a threatening opponent on several levels. In addition to Venom's ability to shapeshift his clothing and mimic statures, he has a secondary power that often goes unnoticed. We mean that literally, because Venom can turn invisible by blending in with his surroundings. The symbiote tries to keep his camouflaging a secret, but we're bringing it out into the light. This power is particularly useful when you think about Venom being impervious to Peter's spidey sense. When Spider-Man enters a situation and cannot pre-detect Venom, that's one thing. When Spider-Man enters a location and can't see Venom too, that takes it to a whole new level. Venom can surprise the superhero with a sneak attack from any direction. Also, during a fight, Venom can turn invisible on and off at will to elude Spider-Man. It makes his escape much easier. The element of surprise is one of the few tactics that can immediately turn a battle for one person over the other. Venom always has the advantage of surprise on his side because of his camouflaging. For Spider-Man, this means he can just never show up without a plan. He needs to make careful approach every time he engages the symbiote. Poison Fangs. Venom has some very distinctive features that set him apart from all other supervillains in the universe. Venom also chose to look distinctive because he didn't want people to confuse him with Spider-Man. That means when Eddie Brock first merged with the alien symbiote, he had to make some superficial modifications to achieve this goal. Enter the infamous mouth, tongue, and teeth of Venom. While they're meant to dissuade you from getting any closer, Venom's teeth are hiding a secret. It is a secret you would only discover if you got close enough for the symbiote to bite you. Venom's teeth are not normal teeth, they are super teeth. If you get too close, Venom could bite you and transmit a poison into your bloodstream. His fangs carry a deadly toxin. That's why he's always drooling that green saliva out of his mouth. It isn't because an alien symbiote doesn't have any table manners. His glands are constantly replenishing his supply of poison for when he needs to bite someone or something. In addition, his teeth can tear through some of the strongest materials on Earth. They are sharp, and once he clamps down on something, Venom doesn't easily let go. Genetic memory. In addition to Venom's ability to adapt to an environment and host, he also has another advantageous ability. It has to do with his lineage. Venom retains the genetic memory of his hosts. This is significant when Venom's host has superpowers like Spider-Man. Venom came into the Marvel Universe through Peter Parker. Because of his contact with the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, he retained his unique abilities. He developed similar powers to Spider-Man and is even immune to the Spidey sense. It is misleading to believe this genetic memory relates only to Peter Parker. The alien will retain the genetic sequencing of any superhuman host. It is just that Spider-Man was his most famous host. Venom then passes the abilities of the host onto his next symbiote as well. Venom keeps his ability a secret from the other superheroes in the universe for good reason. If he's able to connect with them, he would be able to absorb their makeup into his genetic memory. Could you imagine a world where Venom has Thor, the Incredible Hulk, Spider-Man, and Captain Marvel all in his genetic makeup? Would that make him the most powerful entity in the universe? What do you think? Breathing underwater. When you take a look at Venom, you don't necessarily get the vibe that he's into water all that much. You don't picture him deciding to take a day off from trying to terrorize Spider-Man to go to the beach and hang out under the umbrella for an afternoon. You know what we mean? Yet, Venom has a hidden power related to water that absolutely blows our minds. He really knows how to keep a secret. Hold on to your swim trunks because Venom can breathe underwater. Is Venom swimming towards you scarier than a shark? We don't want either after us, but Venom diving in after you without needing any type of breathing apparatus would be terrifying. Venom discovered this superpower when Spider-Man decided he would flee the symbiote by jumping into the water. We can't knock Spidey for that one, because we've probably done the same thing. However, Peter did not consider two very important elements. First, Venom can adapt to situations to survive. Second, the symbiote wants to keep its host alive at all costs. When Venom hits the water in pursuit of the web-slinging Spider-Man, he instantly gained the ability to breathe underwater.
Never wound what you can't kill.
Who knew Venom had all these secret powers up his symbiotic sleeve? We didn't. Which one of these powers was most shocking to you? Let us know in the comments below. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and check out more awesome videos from our playlist. And if you liked our video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and share it with your friends. As always, thanks for watching.